Welcome back everybody to my latest Q&A. Before I get to the questions, a few announcements. First up, this Q&A is unlike any other because it's a double video. At the end of the Q&A, I'm going right into vlog number 47. A lot of people liked my vlogs. The algorithm didn't seem to, so I figured, you know what, I'll stick a vlog at the end and we'll see what happens. So stick around for the vlog if that's your thing. Next up, I have several membership related announcements. One is going to be a discussion in the vlog portion of this video. I also want to remind you I do give away memberships during the premiere of this Q&A, but the other one is something that some people have been asking for. Now that I've had channel memberships for 2 years, I'm going to start posting some of my older members videos publicly for everyone to see. And that will be starting probably this week with the Banana Loca video that I did in 2023. And for those of you who've noticed a little trick I do with the time of my videos, for example, 2025 videos all in 25 seconds, you might see some 23s showing up. That's not a mistake, that's because those videos are 2 years old. And with that, let's get right to the first question. Channel regular Andy Bernard asks, over the years, it seems like you've had to adjust your on-camera personality and the way you present yourself. Whether to keep up with trends, appeal to the algorithm, or just stay competitive, how natural or difficult has that shift been for you? And do you feel it's had any lasting impact on your personality off camera? You know, looking back at my old videos, I do see that change. What's interesting though is I don't think it's so much of a conscious change to adjust. It's really more about me just becoming more myself over time on camera than trying to be something else. I think it has less impact over time because what you've seen evolve was actually just the real me come out on camera. Early on, turning the camera on, you know, you have a certain demeanor, but over time it's like, the camera's on, I'm gonna be myself. So I would say you're really not seeing a lasting impact because that's the real me. This person wants to ask, how old is Bailey and what is her favorite dog item that I've reviewed? Bailey is 10.5 years old. She was born on January 30th, 2015. It's probably a bit of a cop-out, but I would say BarkBox is her favorite item because I reviewed that in August of 2020 and I've been subscribed ever since then. Every month since 2020 we get that BarkBox and she looks forward to it. Now if I had to pick a single item I reviewed over the years that she liked, there was a peanut butter bone from TJ Maxx that she absolutely loved. But really, BarkBox is her favorite. A Brick in the Wall says, I know you've done your best and the worst every year, but would enjoy a gift guide based on a few price points, like stocking stuffers versus wrapped gifts for the holiday. Now, I did do a gift giving idea back in 2020. I guess it's a bit outdated by now. It's probably about time for another one if I can think of enough new things to suggest. No promises, but I'm gonna think about that and see if I can squeeze one out for this holiday season. Steamboat Seattle asks if I could do a collab with Freakin too. I'm sure you guys could work something out. It reminds me of that one AI job interview I did on Freakin 2 in the early days there. That was kind of fun. Now that you mention it, maybe I could pull something like that off. I'll have to think about that. That'd be kind of fun. Brian wants to know if I'm able to claim my donations on my taxes. He also says he's old enough to remember the Veg-O-Matic. Now when I buy these products, I claim that as a business expense. I don't think you can really donate it and claim it again. I think that'd be double dipping. I give everything to my accountant, but I don't think that's the way it works. Cole from the internet asks, what are some YouTube channels you watch? Now that varies over time. You know, I'll go through a phase of one kind of channel and then not watch it again for a couple years. Lately I've been watching kind of old videos of street scenes. There's a channel called Vampire Robot that shows like a mall from the 70s or a McDonald's from the 80s, just kind of like everyday scenes like that. I really enjoy watching those because it reminds me when I was a kid. There's another one called Glamour Days that restores very old footage like from the 1800s, early 1900s. I actually kind of enjoy that one as well. I also recently went through a kind of weird phase of watching workplace accidents. I'm not sure why, but that's what I was watching. Leonard says, I saw your comment on the OS2 video. What made you an OS2 fan? Well, keep in mind that OS2 came out before Windows 95 and I was kind of impatient. I also kind of always root for the underdog. You know, like I had a Windows Phone. I had a Zune. You know, like I always kind of root for the underdog technology and it never ends up working out. I did think OS2 was better than Windows 3.1. It wasn't better than Windows 95, but I was using a PC and that was the best thing available. And I was kind of rooting for another operating system to kind of be in the mix, but unfortunately it didn't work out. Tom wants to know how I store all of my archive videos I keep. If I use an online server or if I keep it on portable hard drives and what preferred brand I use. The way I do it now is each year has its own dedicated hard drive. So I store those up away. And actually I lost an entire year at one point. So now I keep 2 copies of each one on their own hard drives. But I also have an M.2 drive where I have all the renders and all the thumbnails for easy to access. In case I ever want to grab an old video, I have it right there. For example, something like this. Today is the 1-year anniversary since I posted my first video here on YouTube. And the brand I tend to use is Samsung. Conrad wants to know, what is my Mount Rushmore of YouTubers? Now my picks wouldn't be necessarily the most popular YouTubers out there. I certainly wouldn't put those on there. I would say in the vlogging category on my Mount Rushmore would be Casey Neistat. As far as the gaming aspect of it goes, Angry Video Game Nerd. Definitely way before the curve on that one. For pure just entertainment value and taken to the next level, good mythical morning. Now, who would the last one be? Final one, I would say, just for the fact that he was so far ahead of his time in production value, would be Captain Disillusion. Liberty Nathan asks, what percentage of items purchased for review do you use frequently? What percentage end up in the boneyard and what percentage are donated or given away? I would say beyond using it for a year for my update, which I do in some cases, maybe 1% stick around long term, maybe less than that. Considering I've reviewed about 2,000 products, that means I have to have about 20 I use regularly. That sounds about right. I would say 70% are still in the boneyard and the rest I've given away or donated, although I'm hoping to give away a lot more than that soon. I really just want to go to Sunset Park one of these days, load my car up and just tell people to come and take whatever they want. I'm considering doing that sometime. Lucid Dreamer 007 wants to know if my cold hands issue ever affects my ability to play bass. Now, I haven't performed in several years, but it definitely did when I used to perform. Usually what happens is once you get a couple songs into it, you're moving around, you kind of warm up, but those first couple songs, that's where it's rough. So what I would do is run to the bathroom right before going on stage, run my hands under warm water, and hopefully that would get me through until my body kind of warmed up and my hands would thaw out. Speaking of, fall is here, and that means it's only a matter of time before my hands are freezing every day again. Frank Firewood 5384 asks if I can do a vlog about going to Area 51 Gate in Rachel, Nevada. Now that's about 2.5 hours away. I don't think I'm gonna do that. That's kind of out in the middle of nowhere too, so I don't see that happening in the near future. I could do one from Area 15 though. In fact, I do have a member video. If you're one of the people that win a membership today, or if you're an existing member, I do have one from Area 15 Omega Mart I did last year. I would suggest checking that out because it was kind of fun. But as far as Area 51 goes, I don't think so. Although I did see some weird lights out there in 1994, but that's maybe for another day. Tammy wants to know if I have played any online games or video games. If so, what are my favorites? Well, online games, I played World of Warcraft for like 10 years. I also played probably an embarrassingly high amount of Toontown Online back in the day when my kids were little. I do occasionally whip out the MetaQuest 3 and play some games there, and in the recent years I was a big fan of Watch Dogs. David wants to know what my opinion of Pearl Jam is. I love Pearl Jam, that's right. I think their first album, 10, is on the Mount Rushmore of those early grunge albums. Unfortunately, of those early grunge bands, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and Soundgarden, Eddie Vedder is the only singer left. So I would say at least once a month, I will say, long live Eddie Vedder. Southsider for Life asks, what do you think about the Athletics MLB team eventually moving to Las Vegas? I think it's pretty wild. We're gonna have 3 professional sports stadiums, NHL, NFL, and MLB, all within walking distance from each other, all right there on the strip. I mean, I think it's cool. I'm not a huge baseball fan like I was back in the 80s, but I'll definitely go to some games because it just seems like a cool experience. And that stadium looks pretty incredible. Member VacMaster 1991 wants to know what happened to the Revolution toaster, because I said it broke. I don't know for sure, but I think that somehow that panel just got fried. It started glitching out and then it stopped working completely. With no panel, you really can't do anything. My suspicion is putting such high heat of the toaster right next to a control panel probably isn't going to bode well long term, and in my case, it didn't. This person asked why I haven't done more collabs with Jacey, maybe Bailey and Bolt and dog items. Now, I've done quite a few collabs with Jacey on her channel. I don't do a lot of collaborations on my channel unless I really need another person to help me test out a product. It's kind of weird. Over the years, I've realized a lot of my viewers don't seem to like when I do collaborations on my channel. So I don't want to force it, but I do have quite a few with her on her channel. This person says, what impacts have you witnessed into Las Vegas since tourism slowed? Personally, I haven't seen any because I always keep myself locked down here in my own house. I'm kind of a hermit. I do have friends that work down there and they've said the slowdown's been pretty dramatic. It's kind of funny, the official numbers say tourism's down 10%, but my friends down there are saying their tips are down 50%. I'm not sure I trust the official numbers. But on the other hand, the locals casinos, they're all booming because they still don't price gouge all their customers. Jen Crocheting Grad Tech 5913 wants to know if I still use the BedJet, and if not, why? Oh, I still use the BedJet. If I have to sleep somewhere else, I miss the BedJet. If I take a nap, I use the BedJet. If I want to lay in bed longer in the morning, I use the BedJet. I use it all the time. When I was speaking at the Alibaba convention, I mentioned the BedJet. Hopefully it never goes away because it's hard for me to sleep without it. Rich San Diego 1969 wants to know, where was I when 9/11 happened? I was here in Las Vegas sleeping and my phone started ringing and I was ignoring it, but it kept ringing over and over again. So I eventually picked it up. It was a friend of mine and I was like, what's the big emergency? And he was like, turn on the news. So that was pretty much it. I was sleeping when it happened. By the time I woke up, most of the crazy events had already happened. The weirdest part for me that week was that I kind of live right underneath the flight path for the airplanes, and seeing no planes coming to Vegas, that was kind of a trip. This person asked, what are some modern rock songs I recommend? Now that's going to be a totally subjective list. It's funny, the first thing I can think of is actually more than 20 years old, but I guess it's still kind of modern, which is Fly From The Inside by Shinedown. Another big one in recent years would be The Summoning by Sleep Token. That's a really good track. If you've never listened to Good Tiger or Tesseract, I would look for Aspirations by Good Tiger or Of Mine Nocturne by Tesseract. Allure by Sky Harbor was one of my most played songs a couple years ago. Brutal Behavior by Jack the Joker is a really cool song and nobody knows that band. I suggest watching Monument by Mute Math. Watch their video because the video itself is great. So the song is good and the video is good too. Heritage by Time the Valuator, underrated band. The Moments in Between by Reign of Kindo isn't real rock, but it's a great track, as is Bring Me Down by The Deer Hunter. If you asked me this tomorrow, I'd come up with a completely different list. Matthew was inquiring about winning memberships during the Q&As. So the way that works is that you have to be watching during the premiere and you can't watch it after the fact. If you watch it later, the giveaway's already over. During the premiere, I'll pick a certain number of people that I want to give memberships to, and YouTube picks who it goes to. But the memberships are only gifted during the premieres. Camely8288 asks what the best Christmas present I've ever received is. You know, that's actually a really hard question to answer. I would say the first Christmas present I ever remember getting was a Slinky when I was like 4 years old. And that doesn't sound like a great present nowadays, but in like 1973, it was pretty amazing. Perhaps the most unexpected, memorable Christmas moment in recent years that I really have good memories of is when I was in Kona, Hawaii with my kids a couple years ago, and we had no idea, but there was a Christmas parade going on, so we went into that, and I loved every second of it, man. I loved that Christmas parade. It was one of the most memorable Christmas moments I ever had, and it wasn't even like at home or even in cold weather. I was fortunate enough to be on the Big Island during Christmas time, and to me that was a very special experience. But going back to the gift idea, the gifts I really enjoy the most are the ones that are handmade, like a drawing or a homemade candle, because someone actually spent time to create that, and something that's handmade is really kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. To me though, the gifts are secondary over the entire holiday season and spending time with family. This person asks if I still buy or collect CDs or other physical media, or if I'm all digital. I do collect CDs and albums for multiple reasons. But one good reason I've encountered recently is I mentioned this on a member video where I was listening to a Lisa Stansfield album on Spotify, and it was different. They have 3 versions of the same album. All of them are different from the album that I have. So in other words, these streaming services can swap out in later versions that aren't maybe as good as what you remember. When you have the physical copy, they can't do that. So that's one reason among many to still own physical copies of music. Well, that's it as far as the Q&A portion of this video goes, but stick around. We've got vlog 47 coming up right now. Good morning on this mild Wednesday morning, where it's currently 70 degrees. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Welcome back to my first public vlog in almost 2 months. Thank you to those who have stuck around after my Q&A, and for those who didn't stick around for my Q&A, you're not here for me to say anything to. It's unbelievably nice weather here in Las Vegas. This is usually I would say October is the nicest time of the year, but it started early. We are in September. It's already nice here, so I ain't complaining at all. What's interesting though is what's not been typically nice around this time of year are my views on YouTube. Usually September typically ranks as the lowest viewed month of the year, but this year it's been kind of weird. You've probably seen there's a lot of YouTubers who've been posting videos about how things changed for them recently. Well, I guess this will be my chance to talk about it right now. I have not shared the same experience that a lot of those YouTubers have. A lot of those YouTubers are gamers, and most of their views come from computers. So they're saying like August 10th, their views dropped suddenly on computers. Everything else stayed the same. I have not experienced that at all. My experience on YouTube over the last year is that starting in the beginning of the year, my views from subscribers have been completely steady. But my views from non-subscribers have been slowly inching downward, which has never really happened before. It's hard for me to get beyond my subscribers right now with the algorithm pushing all the AI garbage out there. Nobody wants to see it, but you're still shoving it in our faces. And now they just introduced a new feature where people can create AI videos right in the YouTube app. Just make more AI garbage out there. Just dilute this platform even more. Why not? Let's just run the whole thing into the ground in the name of money. Hopefully things have stabilized on my end as far as that goes. channels, but you know, we'll see. We'll have to see how that goes. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I was going to talk about memberships a little bit in this segment, which I'm going to do right now. It's kind of funny, you know, YouTube memberships have been out for years. And you know, I've had them for 2 years now, and I still get people that don't seem to understand how they work. You know, I got an email from someone the other day saying, oh, now that I have to pay for your content, I'm unsubscribing. Like, who says you have to pay for anything? I will explain it again. I will explain it again to those people out there who don't seem to understand. So I don't take sponsorships. I had one sponsor video in 2019, none since then. So those people who want to support this channel, since I don't take sponsorships, they have channel memberships. And for those people, I create extra content that I probably wouldn't produce for everybody else. You know, it's not really intended to be produced publicly anyways. So those people that are getting angry that there's membership content out there, it's misguided. My posting schedule hasn't changed. What has changed though is that YouTube and all of their wisdom, because you know, they're geniuses out there, the way they're pushing all the AI slop, genius. But the geniuses behind YouTube now are shoving membership content to non-members is making them upset. It's ticking them off that they're seeing this content that they can't get to, that they think that somehow they're being deprived of. That's not the way it was ever meant to be. And I do think that that's probably driving some people away, but you know, that's out of my control. It never used to be that way. When membership started, they weren't shoving in everybody's faces that weren't members already. So, you know, maybe I have to move it on to Patreon or something so YouTube's not doing that. I don't know what to do. I like creating extra content that's kind of like for a much smaller crowd. I don't know, it's a mess. Everything's a mess these days. I don't know what's not a mess. What's not a mess out there? I don't know. I was waiting for an answer. I didn't get one. But on my agenda for today, I'm going to finish up my Q&A and maybe post it tomorrow. We shall see about that. I've got a lot of things outside of work to do as well today. I got some errands to run. There's a whole bunch of stuff's going on behind the scenes. So some things I will let you in on, and some things I won't. What I have to do now is I'm going to set up my camera and start my Q&A a little bit here because it's supposed to get windy and maybe even rain. And I like to film outside for part of my Q&A to break things up, but I can't do it when it's windy. I better get an early start before I regret it. That's kind of a bigger lesson right there as well. You know, do things while you have the chance because you may not always have a chance. Usually Bailey joins me out here, but you know, Bailey's getting kind of old. Bailey's 10 and a half now. She's slowing down. Bailey is slowing down. It's sad to see. But she's in there snoozing right now. I'll show you her when she comes back out here. I think Bolt's coming over this morning as well. So, you know, you have two extremes. We have old Bailey, old Elle, and young crazy Bolt. I'm not sure what's next for my morning, but I'll share it with you right here. He ain't coming. 10 a.m. check-in, and I gotta get started. It's starting to get a little bit breezy. I've been wasting my time. Actually, I haven't been wasting my time. I've been going over the questions I want to answer, but I gotta get started, like now. And of course, now it's windy. I should have got started earlier. Here we go. Anyways, welcome back everybody to my latest Q&A. Before I get to the questions, a few announcements. And with that, let's get right to the first question. How was that? I decided to move over here in this chair for the last couple questions, and I got Bailey standing right here. There's Bailey right there. And of course, you know, the wind has been kind of blowing. My microphone's here, so I have to and the wind's blowing this way, so I have to have my back here protecting the microphone from all the wind. But fortunately now there's a website out there that fixes audio pretty good if you get it really bad, but I'm trying to avoid that in the first place. But on the last few questions, and then see what happens next. Out and about running a few errands. I was kind of thinking about something that happened earlier. How many times has this happened to you before? Because it's happened to me. Someone will ask you for your advice or your opinion, and then when you give it to them, they argue with you. It's like, isn't your advice and your opinion supposed to be a subjective response based on your own experience? I get that whether it's a really intense personal situation or just something like choosing a color. Which shirt do you like the best, yellow or red? Oh, I like the red. Why red? Why ask? You know, I don't really get the hiccups that often, but when I do, they're pretty loud, kind of obnoxious, and kind of almost painful. I get violent hiccups. It seems like I'm exaggerating, but that's how I hiccup. It's not good. Oh, great. You know, when I got back in my car after my quick pit stop, I felt my shorts rip right in the back. I gotta check that because if they are ripped, I gotta go back home and change. I think I'm wearing bright red underwear right now, so let's do a quick peek and see if I actually rip my shorts. All right, you're getting my real-time reaction here. You like reaction videos? This isn't real reaction, no, it's fake reaction here. Oh man, look at that. Whoa, not good. Not good. That's even worse than I thought it was gonna be. Well, I don't think those are worth fixing, so I like those shorts too. If that's the worst thing that happens to me today, my day's not so bad. But now it's time to go home and change. Does that look like a face to you? Maybe it's just me. Kind of like a face to me. Random fact here, but have you ever noticed that whenever they show a dog in an advertising or like on the packaging for like dog food, they're always panting? I kind of looked that up. I was like, why are dogs always panting in packaging or in advertisements? And apparently, when a dog pants, it makes them look less aggressive and almost like they're smiling. I don't know how they can get them to pant when they're doing the photo shoot, but I guess panting dog looks like it's smiling, so that's why you always see panting dogs on all of the packaging. Speaking of Pearl Jam, from the questions earlier, you know, there was a lyric from Jeremy. I always had a hard time. I can't even say it slowly. I don't even know how he says it so fast. But the line is, gnashed his teeth and bit the recessed lady's breast. Try saying that fast. It ain't easy. If you can say it fast, I'm impressed because I've never been able to say it fast. 4 p.m. check-in. I just got off a 90-minute video call. That's rough, man. I'm not used to talking that much. I usually don't talk hardly at all. I talk more on camera than I do to people. There's Bailey. Bailey's right there. Bailey's always nearby. She's extra nearby right now. But it was a productive phone call. It's kind of a top secret business venture I'm getting myself into. I can't say anything about it yet. It's top secret. When it's not so top secret, I'll let you know. But my day ain't over yet. I've been up since 5:30 in the morning. It's 4 o'clock now. I got a lot to do. The day is young. I got to run back to the grocery store. I'm going to be going over to Jacey's, help her filming. I got more editing to do. I'm going to hopefully post this vlog with the Q&A tomorrow. I got more products to order. No rest for the weary. No rest. And Bailey's just sitting there, right? She's just staring right at me. I'm going to try time-lapsing this. Watch. You know, I probably have not watched an episode of Barney Miller since the 80s, but that theme song's been stuck in my head for like 3 straight days. That was one of the first bass lines I ever learned though. Boom, 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 doo doo doom, doo 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 doom. Still remember after all these years. Great bass line. Very 70s theme song. I used to love that show when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in decades though. Would it still hold up in the 2020s? I don't know. Maybe I should watch and find out. Well, it comes down to this. It's such a long day that I don't even remember everything I did today. I have to look back at this footage and see what I even did. Being kind of worn out at the end of the day can be kind of a good feeling if you feel like you're productive in things that you want to be productive about. On the other hand, you can't really string too many days like that together or you get totally burnt out, even if it's doing stuff you like. But creating a public vlog was kind of fun for a change. I may do this again next month with my Q&A if people like it. If not, maybe I won't. But that's all I've got. I'll be back next month with my next Q&A, maybe my next vlog. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.